I'm a news junkie, and I want to stay informed, but some of the news items really anger me. We all know by now what a Ponzi scheme is, where the money raised from new investors is used to pay returns to old investors because the investment portfolios themselves don't really exist, despite investor statements to the contrary. No, I'm not talking about Bernie Madoff. I'm referring to our own Social Security system. Yes, that's right. For those of you who don't know, our very government has been operating our retirement system like a Ponzi scheme. It probably started in the 1960s to meet the vast funding requirements of the Great Society program under the Johnson administration, where the White House and Congress conspired to start raiding our retirement funds. And of course they didn't tell us, because when a thief admits his guilt, he is prosecuted and forbidden to steal again. And every White House and Congress since then, from both parties, has participated in this Ponzi scheme, keeping it as hush-hush as possible. Now, here is my Social Security statement. It says that over the course of 37 years, contributions to my account from both me and my employers has accumulated to about $120,000. Now, if I were to march on Washington and demand to see my $120,000, the Social Security clerk would reply with a surprise look. Don't you know? Those monies don't really exist. We spent them long ago. Now, had I invested that same $120,000 through a legitimate private investment house, I could go to their offices and there would actually be an account in the name of Timothy Scott Flanegin. And I could see and verify my $120,000 plus earnings to date. And that investment house would have no right under law to borrow or steal the funds from my retirement account, but instead to invest it only on my behalf. So here's what I want to know. Where is the outrage? This Bernie Madoff scandal and this whole IAG bonus thing, while despicable enough, and which spawned their share of protest, are a tiny thing compared to the financial malfeasance behind our own Social Security system. So where are the massive protests against our own government? I know that most of you, like me, have sunk money into this black hole that we call the Social Security system. So again, I ask, where is the outrage? I tell you what I want. I want Washington to put my money back. I want Washington to put your money back. I want Washington to put our money back. Put our money back. Okay, so we're in agreement on that. Now, how do we actually make it happen? Well, the sums that must be put back in our name are so vast at this point that it is impractical to do it all at once. But we can start now, and we can start small. Under a new law, which I will call the Social Security Restoration Act, we citizens will forbid Congress from borrowing or stealing just 2% of our new contributions in the first year, and 4% the second year, and 6% the third year, and so on. Until after 52 years, we will have finally weaned the federal government off of our money, off of our retirement contributions. We will have put the bank robbers out of business. Now, I'll be long gone in 52 years, as will some of you. And hopefully our retirement benefits will have been paid along the way. But for our children and our grandchildren and for generations beyond, by passing this law, we will have assured that their retirement funds will be secure. This act will also require the Social Security Administration to issue new yearly statements with 2 columns. The left column will constitute that portion of our retirement contributions that we are still allowing the government to steal. Versus the right column, which will delineate that portion of our contributions that are finally, legally vested in the name of Timothy Scott Flanegin, in the name of Martha Jane Thompson, in the name of John Doe. That government no longer has the right under law to steal at the risk of prosecution and imprisonment. And every year when we receive our new statements, we can rejoice as we watch our retirement contributions slowly but surely shift from the theft column on the left to the ownership column on the right. Now, of course, the establishment politicians in Washington will resist this. They'll say things like, yes, we know we need to deal with entitlements, and we're going to do that one of these days. But your proposal needs to be considered as part of a wholesale entitlement reform package. Of course, this is a stall tactic. And this, get this, from the same Congress that rushed to the public microphones to rail against private corporations for not securing the pension funds of its workers. The hypocrisy almost makes you want to vomit. You know how doctors have to take the Hippocratic Oath? Well, I believe that new congresspersons, when sworn into office, have to take what I call the Hippocratic Oath. That goes something like this. I swear upon the gods of Congress to castigate private businesses for making money while our massive government spending requires us to print money. I vow to enact automatic annual congressional pay raises while regulating the compensation packages for private industry. I pledge to force the auto companies to make compact, fuel-efficient cars for the masses while reserving a few SUVs large enough for me and my congressional staff. I swear to shame American consumers over their recent borrowing and spending binge, ignoring the fact that we in Congress were their primary role model, and so on. The beauty of this act, this Social Security Restoration Act, is that even if Washington never gets around to reforming the benefit side of entitlements, we will have fixed the contribution side within 50 years, and Congress will probably still be arguing and procrastinating. Now, once this act is passed, never let Congress repeal it, because they will try to do so every budget year. You see, the sums that will finally be accumulating in your name will be so vast that the temptation for Congress will be too much for them to resist, given their greedy mitts and their spending schemes. So stand firm. Remember the mantra from the 2000 campaign, fix Social Security first? Well, I'm all for that, obviously. But most of the resistance to this act is going to come from those same politicians in Washington who already have designs on your retirement contributions. Plans, big plans, things like $700 billion to provide free health care to the 47 million uninsured. So what should be the priority? Shouldn't this government first secure past promises before creating new entitlements to preferred voting constituencies who for the most part won't even be asked to pay for those benefits, made possible only through the continued theft of our hard-earned retirement contributions? So, follow up with this question at the candidate debate. As a condition to earning my vote, if elected, will you pledge to initiate legislation and do everything in your power to secure passage of the Social Security Restoration Act and start putting our money back